Which shoe should you buy? Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. It's no secret that I have been dipping my toes back into the super shoe pond as of late here and there. And I figured that I would put the two super shoes that I've tried most recently head to head. I get a lot of questions from you guys about what super shoe you should be wearing, what is the best one, what's my favorite, and hopefully we kind of answer some of those questions for you all today. First and foremost, I want to ask that you please follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get to 10K followers, and I have almost 9,000. So we're getting there slowly but surely, and I appreciate everyone who has already followed. If you're wondering what I post there, it's just more and more shoe content, running content, polls, surveys, ask me anything questions, that sort of thing. So please do follow me on Instagram at RunLikeHeller. So as you likely already know, today we're going to be comparing the Hoka Rocket X2 against the Nike Vaporfly 3. I have almost the same amount of miles on each shoe. The Rocket X2 I have 27.6, and in the Nike Vaporfly 3 I have 26. So they have been put through their paces quite a bit already. Today we're going to compare these shoes from their uppers, their midsoles, their outsoles, their pricing, and hopefully that gives you a decent idea of which shoe you should buy. And then at the end, I'll tell you which shoe I would buy. However, though, before we dive into all that, I do want to let you know that the Rocket X2 was sent to me by Hoka and Running Warehouse, and the Nike Vaporfly 3 I purchased with my own money. Like every video that I post, no one is seeing this before you. No one can tell me what to say, and all of my opinions on both of these shoes here are always gonna be my own. Okay, so let's begin comparing these shoes, starting with their uppers. The Rocket X2 has a technical, synthetic, sort of ripstop mesh. It almost feels plasticky when you do this to it. You got some overlays in the midfoot, and the back heel counter is pretty flimsy. I do think this material is breathable, though I don't think it's the most breathable super shoe that you can buy, but you are gonna feel some wind passing through the forefoot of this shoe. I'm able to get a solid lockdown through the midfoot, but my main complaint about this shoe lies in this area here. I've mentioned this in my first run impressions of the Rocket X2, but this heel counter sort of goes a little bit aggressive towards your Achilles, and I do feel this touching my Achilles in the back. I have not had any issues with it, like it hasn't caused any bleeding, anything like that, but I have heard that people do have issues with this back heel counter, so just something you're gonna wanna watch out for. Lastly, turning the shoe this way, I think it's fairly narrow in the midfoot, and in the forefoot though it does open up a bit so your toes can kind of breathe. Now the Nike Vaporfly 3, as you probably already know, has Nike's Flyknit material. This is extremely breathable, and I think probably makes it one of the most breathable super shoes on the market. Don't quote me on that, but I would imagine it's pretty up there. There's really not much happening in the midfoot at all in terms of overlays to give it some structure, and the back heel counter does have a little more sturdiness to it though than the Rocket X2's does. The heel counter is similar back here, where this could irritate your ankle or your Achilles, but it doesn't go in as aggressive as the Rocket X2 does, so I feel it a lot less on the back of my Achilles. Turning the shoe over this way, you have a wildly narrow midfoot. I mean, it is narrow. It does open up quite a bit in the forefoot to give you room for your toes to breathe, as the Rocket X2's upper does, but the midfoot in this is a very narrow experience. Putting these two uppers head to head, I really do like them both for different reasons, but I think in terms of comfort and materials used, I'm gonna go with the Vaporfly 3, the Flyknit. It just feels very comfortable on top of your foot. The material is very breathable. It feels barely there, but they give you enough to get the job done and keep you on top of the midsole. I really do like the Rocket X2's upper. I just don't know if I love the material they used for it in general. I don't mind it, but head to head with the Vaporfly 3. I think I just prefer the way this feels a little bit more. Now on to the stars of the show, the midsoles. The Hoka Rocket X2 is rocking a PIBA-based foam. They have not used this foam in other shoes yet. It is a debut of a super shoe foam finally from Hoka, and everyone is very excited about it. And it is also coupled with a carbon fiber plate in there to help with propulsion. Now the Vaporfly 3, we got the classic Zoom X foam here that everyone knows and loves. No need to introduce it. And it also has a carbon fiber plate as well. Nike calls it their fly plate. And this also just helps to aid with propulsion and just being fast. I think I'm just gonna hold these two shoes here together for the midsole because I wanna kind of compare. So upon putting both of these shoes on my feet at the same time, what I gathered from that experience was kind of what I thought I was going to. The Hoka Rocket X2 feels like it has more all-around cushioning. The cushioning feels more even, but you sink into the cushioning less than you do in the Vaporfly 3. Now in the Vaporfly 3, I feel like I have a lot of cushion up front in the forefoot, and I feel it in the heel, and I don't really feel much of it in the midfoot. That's just my experience. When taking a step in these two shoes at the same time, you definitely feel the scoop and the spoon-like feel from the plate in the Rocket X2. But again, you're not sinking down into the foam as much as you are in the Vaporfly 3. And I think the Vaporfly 3's forefoot just feels a little more aggressive, and that might be because you're compressing the foam, you get closer to that plate. But the toe off does feel just a little more intense than the Rocket X2. The foam on the Rocket X2 maybe feels a little denser, slightly firmer. It just feels tighter, and this feels softer and squishier. Now, what I also want to touch on is the stability of these two shoes. They are both neutral shoes. They're racers. They're not meant to be stability shoes. But this is important for me when I am running in super shoes because I do overpronate. So I want to bring it up in case you do the same thing. I certainly overpronate in both of these shoes, but it is severely exacerbated in the Vaporfly 3. My ankles really turn in this shoe, and I think it goes back to the fact that the midfoot is so narrow. I just, like, my foot has nowhere to go. Now again, I am overpronating in the Rocket X2, but it is less severe, and because of that, what I'm trying to get at is I think I could take the Rocket X2 a lot longer of a distance than I could the Vaporfly 3 because eventually my ankles just feel uncomfortable in the Vaporfly 3, whereas I don't really feel that in the Rocket X2. Both of these shoes I have taken double-digit 10-mile runs, so no, I have not run a marathon in either of these shoes yet, but just from the 10-mile experience, they were both very different experiences. Rocket X2 felt a lot more comfortable. My feet, my ankles, my legs felt fresher. And in the Vaporfly 3, my ankles felt a little bit yikes and it was kind of uncomfortable. That's why when it comes to midsole, I'm gonna go with the Rocket X2, but it's really gonna depend on what kind of runner you are, what your foot strike is like, and what you're looking for in a running shoe. If you have a neutral strike and this doesn't matter to you, then the Vaporfly 3 might be exactly what you're looking for. Turning the shoes over this way, talking about outsoles, you have Durabrasion rubber in the Rocket X2, you have it in the forefoot, and those two little pads of rubber on the sides of the heel. And in the Vaporfly 3, you have a nice layer of thin rubber up top in the forefoot, and you can't see them because they are the same color as the foam, but you also have two little pads of rubber in the heel as well. Honestly, I think that both of these rubbers are really, really good. They both have a nice solid grip on the pavement. I've taken them both on weather days, on dry days, and they both perform really nicely. I think what sets them apart for me, and I'd honestly call it a tie if it wasn't for this, but the PIBA-based midsole foam on the Rocket X2 is not fraying really at all in that outsole area, the exposed stuff. It seems to be holding strong. I think it's probably a little denser, more durable than our Zoom X. And that exposed material on my Vaporfly is fraying already quite a bit. So I think I'm gonna have to give this to the Rocket X2, but it's really slight. They both have fantastic rubber, and you can't go wrong with either of them. When it comes to price, they're the same price. The Rocket X2 is $249.95 on runningwarehouse.com, and the Vaporfly 3 is $249.95 on runningwarehouse.com. So that is a pricier shoe, but I'm pretty sure you guys know to expect that by now if you're looking at purchasing a super shoe. If you are interested in picking up either of these shoes, I will link them down below in the description. I'm not sure what exactly Running Warehouse has in terms of stock on these two shoes, so you may have to check that out. But keep in mind, these links will be affiliate links with Running Warehouse. It doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can keep making these videos and telling you which shoes I would buy. Which leads me to which shoe I would buy. And I think for me, if you haven't gathered already, the Rocket X2 just works a little bit better for my stride, for the type of runner that I am. I quite like the Vaporfly 3. I know that this is like the top pick for pretty much everyone out there who wears a super shoe, and I wish I liked it more. I wish it worked for me a little bit better, but that's okay. I will still be taking this shoe, you know, doing my workouts, probably 10K, 8 miles max. I hope this video helped you all determine what might work for you, what might not. I know these shoes are hard to get on your feet prior to ordering them online. Some running specialty stores do have them in stock, so I highly recommend going and trying them on if you're able to. Again, my word's not a final word. Everyone has different running strides, taste, pace, the whole thing. But yeah, I hope that this helped in some way. And these colors look really cool together. Off topic, but they do. Well, everyone, that concludes my which shoe should you buy video, the Hoka Rocket X2 or the Nike Vaporfly 3. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. Have you tried either of these shoes? Have you tried both? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Next weekend is my birthday. I'm gonna take that week off from making videos, but the week after that, we will be back with more shoe content. We'll do it. We'll make it happen. In the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time.